I think I'm going to lead this one off with the old NBA on NBC music. And we're back. Anthony and Alex here to talk stuff. NBA Media Day happening this week. The NBA season is right around the corner. Kind of sprung up on us. There's a lot of other stuff going on, but I thought we kind of hit some NBA a little bit, just so we could say that Golden State's going to win the championship again. But apparently, there's other teams and players who play in the NBA, and they apparently want to try to win a championship. So, kudos to them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, good for them. The thing is, okay, so media day was definitely a few days back now,
Yep.
and but it got you, it just got you thinking. You got to see everybody in the jerseys. You got to see LeBron in the yellow jersey, so it's like, oh, it's real now. Then you saw the starting five. You're like,
Not so good.
are we sure?
Is this on purpose?
But no, it's like you got to kind of, oh, okay, yeah, this is like, like a month away. We got to start thinking about this a little bit. I know it's like, football's there, wrestling's always there, no off season, but it's like NBA, I gotta start thinking about it. It's like obviously the Warriors, right? Everyone's gonna start off, but we did this at the World Cup, right? Germany, and so
That's true.
you don't know because Boogie could mess. Oh, maybe Boogie and Dre don't get along, and then that's a crazy like feud that could happen. Boogie with his.
You're right, and I'm sure that makes Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry unable to shoot 3-pointers.
Hey man, it could mess with the rhythm of the team, chemistry of the team. He could. I could see him make like he definitely could be a worse player, right? Which is the matter. I don't think it necessarily matters, but Achilles injuries are like
Yeah, they're not great.
very, very hard to come back from.
You're usually not good until year 2 of your recovery.
Right, and then that's if like I mean for a bigger guy, I mean I'm sure it's even harder is the thing. And Kobe, that was later on in his obviously his career, but he kind of I don't want to say he never came back from it, but I mean that definitely like that was like oh this is the beginning of the end kind of. So he could be worse, doesn't matter. No, he doesn't have to be Boogie like he was in like New Orleans when him and like AD were like wrecking balls. So he doesn't have to do that. He basically, he took a cheaper contract just to come here and like kind of win some rings. It's clear. But you saw that five, like when you saw that picture of those five, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
I just don't see him do like. I recognize that. I don't think Boogie's going to be 100%, and like I don't think he's going to be like dominant. But I think like a 60% Boogie is still good enough to get it done, especially in the NBA with now where like there's
my thing
very
is,
few good centers.
well, I want to know what like because I don't even know what their backups are like now. I forgot if
Well, they still got Iggy. They got Quinn Cook.
I know they have Iggy. Oh, they have Quinn Cook.
Don't they still have him? Yeah.
They have the McCaw kid,
Yep.
correct? Still, I
Yep.
like him. Okay, so they're still like, they're still there.
I just
Whatever,
don't
we
see
we can get off of them.
anyone threaten him. Like
Who
who?
cares? Then talk about okay. Then what about the East then, or whatever?
I think that's the most intriguing thing. Like, how do the Sixers do this year? What does Boston look like with a healthy Kyrie and a healthy Gordon Hayward? And then what do the dinosaurs look like up there north of the wall with Kawhi?
I mean, I know you're Kawhi love or whatever.
I
but
love him, and if he goes to the Clippers next year, like everybody says, I'm gonna love the shit out of that.
But when I see that starting five, it's not like I'm like you're still the third best team in the East. It really doesn't. It doesn't do anything for me. So it's like it's Lowry,
Kawhi,
Kawhi,
Serge Ibaka,
Serge Valanciunas, and who's their two?
Van
I
Vliet?
forget.
No, Van Vliet comes out
No,
first.
Van Vliet is like their third two. It's
He's sweet,
like,
though.
no, I really like him. Yeah, he did get like.
Oh, it's DeMar DeRozan. Didn't they lock him up and give him a key to the city?
I mean, they might have at one point given the key to the city. Oh, Danny Green.
Took it back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Danny Green.
Yeah. Which is that makes sense. And then
They're not better than Boston, but I think Boston
and
comes
then
out of the East.
CJ Miles too. I know he's kind of a tweener guard forward, but that's okay. That's fine.
Could the
But
Raptors come out of the East?
no,
No, not a chance.
no, not a chance.
They're the third best team behind Boston is 1 and Philly is 2.
I don't even know they're the third best team, but I mean,
Who's ahead of them? The Bucks?
It's hard to say because I need to see the Bucks with not Jason Kidd coaching a full like season kind of thing.
That's true.
So I just need a little bit more. I just need to see a little bit more. But I mean, everyone's going to concentrate obviously on the Sixers, the Celtics. I think they're like kind of head and shoulders above everyone else.
I think the Celtics. I combined the Sixers and Celtics and made Sixers. Heyo. I think the Celtics gave the blueprint on how to beat the Sixers, and that's just crowd that paint, arms out, not let Ben Simmons penetrate and make him have to shoot jumpers. I think the Sixers are still like a good team. I think they might finish behind the Raptors.
Well, that's because you love Kawhi so much.
But despite my love for any individual or any team, I remain objective and steadfast in my objectivity. 100% I do.
Because you have not seen him play a full season and play to be...
No, of course I'm banking on the idea that I think Kawhi returns to form. Of course, if he's not at that form,
but the thing is,
even if he
returns, even if he's that player, what's to say it wasn't like the system of the Spurs and like that kind of organization, which is like a top-notch organization, is great
because
coaching
his ability,
top down.
His ability plays. Like
we've seen a ton of people like be like, "Oh, I'm awesome, but I'm just here on this team, and it doesn't really matter."
It's different with Kawhi. I know, like he was part of a very good organization and team, but his defense translates, his shooting ability translates, his rebounding translates, his positioning translates, and his offensive game translates. I just, and especially in a conference like the East that. I know it's gotten stronger and I know it's gotten better, but it's not like up there. Like again, we're basically talking about 3 teams. Really 2. Like if you just want to focus on the Sixers and the Celtics, but I guess you give Toronto an outside chance. I guess you give Milwaukee an outside chance. Maybe I know you don't, but that's what I'm saying. Like who are you personally even talking about? It's just the Sixers and the Celtics. Like the rest of the East is weak. So if Kawhi is back to form, which is in my opinion, he's the second best player in the world. And if you want to say 3 because he's behind Kevin Durant, I'm going to argue with it, but I'll give it to you. Like, in that conference, I think they can easily come out of it.
Currently, I cannot see him being in the discussion for one of the better players because I haven't seen him play.
No, agreed. I'm not saying that he's 100% going to do it. I'm saying if he returns to form, which is one of the top 2 or 3 players in the world, that makes a big difference on a team that I know they're not loaded on paper, but especially from a regular season standpoint, like Lowry's not bad, Ibaka's not bad, CJ Miles, they've got a decent enough amount of talent around him and a decent enough amount of depth.
That is not winning the East.
In a conference that sucks.
That is not winning the East.
No, I don't think they're going to win the East. I'm saying I think they might have more wins than the Sixers. I think the Celtics are coming out of the East. They have tremendous coaching. They've got a good roster. And when it comes time for championships, defense wins championships. And the Celtics, even with Kyrie, who's not a good defender, have the best defensive team in the East, maybe the best defensive team in basketball. And when push comes to shove, I think they push.
I think right now, I want to say the Sixers because I think they have.
Oh, the Sixers beat the Celtics?
I think they have a great ceiling because. My thing
Ben Simmons can't shoot unless Ben Simmons developed a jump shot this summer,
dude,
which he may have.
Who cares? You have okay. Here's my thing. All they did was bring back the same team plus Wilson Chandler, which I do like that addition.
Oh, I like Wilson Chandler a lot.
Yeah. And you're just more seasoned. Like there's definitely like leaps that happen. I'm not saying
but
like
not to cut you off, but that argument right there. The Celtics brought the same team back, except they're more seasoned, and now they never
played together.
But
they've never played together.
Hayward is big enough to accept whatever role he needs to. He's got a great relationship with Brad Stevens. He will seamlessly fit in wherever he needs to go. Kyrie was already on that team. I think they're going to gel fine. And worst case scenario is they don't, and they trade Kyrie, who already said he's not going to resign.
I know he's not going to stay there.
So ship him off. It either gels with Kyrie or it doesn't gel with Kyrie, and they ship him off.
The problem is what are you going to put Scary Terry as your point guard? Like, come on, guy.
I don't know. Let Tatum carry the ball up. Let Hayward carry the ball up. They have enough of a system that it doesn't matter. They're all gonna play well off the ball. They're all gonna work off the ball. So it doesn't matter who carries it up. You can let friggin' Al Horford carry it up for all I care. Then they're gonna get into their offense and they're gonna go. Especially with Brad Stevens, who is maybe I'm overrating Brad Stevens, but I think he's great with his half court sets and what he draws up, just from a scheme perspective, offensively and defensively. So. Cool, carry it up. Like, that's the benefit of having Kyrie. I personally think the Celtics don't need Kyrie, but the benefit of Kyrie is, like, you don't need, like, a scheme, and, like, you can just be like, all right, cool, like, just do your one-on-one and get the bucket. Like, it is what it is. But if they need to scheme, they easily can. And if Kyrie doesn't fit what they're trying to do, ship him off. And their defense is going to be super solid. Like, that whole team, granted, the East isn't the strongest, but they were... Like, they got Superman by LeBron in a lot of crazy shit, but they were a game away from going to the finals. And that team is more seasoned, and they added Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. So I just don't see who's beating them, unless Kawhi is Kawhi.
No, I know. I can see...
I give the Raptors a better chance to beat the Celtics than I do the Sixers. I'll say that, though. And that's probably where we differ the most. I give the Raptors a better chance to beat the Celtics than I do the Sixers.
I mean, but... There was a point, right, like at last season when after like the first round, it was almost consensus that everyone thought the Sixers would be coming out of the East. I mean, that they were the favorite. Like,
I guess from media, yes. Me personally, no. I didn't think anyone was beating the Cavs.
Well, I'm just saying, and that was even with the Celtics in the mix because they were like, oh, well, the Celtics are young. They don't have their star players, yada yada,
Right.
Ended up not mattering so much, but I kind of think like they might have played better in like nobody's the main guy, like who's gonna shoot it. Maybe it kept like the defense kind of more guessing because Tatum didn't even know he was the best player, I guess, on the court at times.
Right. He just kind of like developed and fell into it. Yeah,
and now where it's like Kyrie knows he's like probably the best player there. I don't know how. We'll see. Yes, you're right about Brad Stevens. Obviously, being an amazing coach, and I'm sure it'll all work out. And he definitely works better when he has like a great point guard heading it up. And I mean, you're right about Hayward and stuff. I just have questions about their chemistry of like working together over the course of the season, and they definitely have like injury concerns. I could potentially see, and I don't know. We'll see. I mean, not that the Sixers don't, because Embiid is like everyone still thinks he's like made of glass, which is like fine.
Yeah, I definitely do.
But I think it's them, and like it's one of them. I guess it's like either I want to see that series, I guess, and then on the other side in the West, I mean, people aren't really giving much credence to other teams, even though other teams like look pretty good. I mean, they're going to talk about the Lakers all year, despite whatever record they get.
Have you seen? I don't like live and die or swear by ESPN for stuff, but they released their like win total projections for the league.
You're saying the Lakers, or
no, for everybody, so the whole NBA.
Oh, okay.
And they've got Utah projected as the 2 seed.
That could definitely happen. Okay, I love
Donovan Mitchell.
I'm on the Jazz.
And I also think Quinn Snyder's a fantastic coach.
Absolutely. It's like if Gobert can just stop getting injured.
Yeah.
Donovan, obviously Donovan has another season. I could definitely see that team being like pretty strong. But okay, go ahead.
So they're projected as the 2.
Over the Rockets.
Correct. Well, barely, though. Utah's projected at 53.4 wins. Houston's projected at 53 even. So, like, nothing, not a big difference.
Okay.
Denver projected as the 4.
Yeah, I mean, people just like their upside, but it's like they're still young and, like, nobody... Right. I would say most of America doesn't even know any of their players, but their players are young and, like, decent.
And they get Paul Millsap back.
The thing is, they have kind of a high ceiling medium floor kind of like
Okay.
if they're all like really rocking, they're great. Like Jokic is like amazing, and like what they could put out there is definitely like a great team, but I'd say they're like a top 5 seed, but I can't really see them being. What were they, 4?
Yep. So they give them the 4. And
Okay.
here's where things get dicey. So I'm just gonna go through like 5 through 10 real quick. Minnesota at the 5, Oklahoma at the 6. Yep. Minnesota at the 5,
That's not
Oklahoma at the 6, New Orleans at the 7, Portland at the 8, the Lakers at the 9, and the Spurs at 10. The Spurs are projected to have 38 wins.
Okay, well, the Minnesota is not going to do well.
No, I don't see
And
that
I guess,
happening at
and
all.
I guess, was that sort of like a
It's gotta
Jimmy
be-
Butler's going to be here and everything's going to be
That's exactly
hunky dory?
It's got to be like a computer projection.
Even
of like Jimmy
if
Butler.
they were borderline playoffs to me. Like even with that team, because
No, I think if Jimmy Butler would have stayed and we didn't have the whole problems, I think they would have made the playoffs, like a 6 seed or a 7 seed.
I don't think. I think they've been borderline, like 7th, 8th seed. They don't get along. They don't play well together.
They got Derrick Rose.
Oh well, they like
Yeah, they
you
hate
could
the
just
shit out of
tell.
each other.
You could just tell they don't get along. They don't know how to play together. Tibbs, come on, Tibbs. It's like, come on, man. It's over now with that. Like it's not gonna happen. And then they're all on. They're all pushed all their chips in to stay with Karl Anthony Towns.
Yep.
They just signed him that extension. And it's like, is he really the guy? I mean,
No.
Butler shits on him all the time and says like they're not like professional and they're all like they all act like teenagers and shit.
Yeah, they do.
So
They're up
it's like,
playing like not the. I mean, I love video games, but they're up playing like Fortnite like until like 5 a.m. and then they go play a game.
yeah, I mean, it's just like not being like, I don't know, it's just not being like an adult, I guess. It's just like not trying to do your job. Like Donovan Mitchell, like his main thing, like when they first were like, hey, how come you're so much better now? In the end, this was like last year in the beginning of the year when Donovan Mitchell started doing well.
Right.
They were like, hey, how come you're doing so well as opposed to like maybe your college career didn't pan out like you thought it would? And he was like, well, this is my actual job now. Like I don't have to like juggle classes and getting grades. Like this is my actual job. So if you like do something all day, why wouldn't you be better at it? And I was like, that's valid. That's
a very
completely
good point.
completely freaking valid. Like that is the deal. So I mean, yeah. Yeah, I just can't see the Wolves being good.
So according to this, then
I could see obviously the Lakers. I could see on the outside looking in.
You don't think the Lakers are going to make the playoffs?
No.
Really?
Yeah, unless they have another trade up their sleeve. Not with this lineup, no.
You don't think LeBron is good enough to get them an 8 seed?
So what was it? So it's between the 8th seed's going to be between. First of all, I think the Spurs are going to make it.
Yeah, I do too. I find that
They're
horrendously
better
low.
than they played without Kawhi the whole year last year,
Yeah,
and
they still made it.
I don't want to say they have the same team because obviously they don't have like Ginobili or Tony Parker. They were kind of figureheads. Let's not like pretend they were like running the offense or anything like that.
Correct.
So core wise, like Aldridge or whatever, they're still like the same team. And what seed were they? Like 5th seed last year or something like that? I think
they were like the 6 or the 7. They were the 7, but they were behind the 2 seed by like 2 games. Like 2 games separated the 2
right.
and
You're
7
right.
because
That's
the
right.
West
It was
all
very
together.
tight between everyone.
Right.
But it's like they're going to be the same position. They're not going to miss the playoffs. Like losing who they lost like meant nothing. Like those pieces didn't really mean much last year, so it doesn't make much of a difference this year to me. So the Spurs are in, and I'm switching them with the Wolves.
Yeah.
So then we're looking at, I mean, the Thunder are definitely in that 6-ish.
Oh, they got your favorite player in the league, Russ.
You know
Russell
it.
Westbrook clones himself. Pass the ball to Russ. Shoot through alley-oop to Russ from Russ.
Well, Russ and Roman Reigns.
Oh, my God. Russell Reigns. Roman Westbrook. Well, they make it, and then the Pelicans make it.
Dude, the Pelicans could be like, dude, they could be good. I know they don't have Boogie or whatever, but it's like,
No, but they're still sweet.
if Anthony Davis plays like he did, which was like MVP caliber.
Well, he always
like,
plays good. It's just a matter of whether or not he gets hurt.
No. He took it to another level that last half of the season. And then they had
Drew Holiday.
They had Rondo and Drew Holiday playing very good.
But Rondo's bye-bye now.
Rondo went to the Lakers, but they got Payton. They got Alfred Payton,
They did, and they got Julius Randle.
and they got Julius Randle. And I was like, okay, you lost Boogie, obviously, but it's like, dude, Randle's like legit good, and I don't know why. It must have been like money wise or whatever, but like he should have still been on the Lakers team. He was like the best guy for them.
Well, yeah,
down the stretch.
that was a money cut.
And so, yeah, it's a money cut, whatever. And so he's very good. I was like, I think they like upgraded, it's like in a way.
And then Portland is their projected 8 seed with 42 wins.
So we're saying the Lakers are Portland.
I'm taking the Lakers. I'm taking LeBron.
And Portland was what seed last year? Like the 3rd seed? And like,
yeah, because they lost to the Pelicans.
And a lot of people liked what was going on with them.
And they got fucking spanked by the Pelicans. They got rocked.
No, I'm saying the playoffs completely, but like,
people thought that Portland also had that span where they won like 19 in a row or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like they play. I know it's like they want to see. It's like, oh, cut bait or not between like this Lillard McCollum experiment. It's like, well, you got to pick one kind of thing, but it's fine. Run it back. They did really well last year. Like people actually thought they were scary come like playoff time. They were the team that they were like the LA, the Chargers. They're like, well, you don't want to play them, but it's like you end up being like, oh, that's fine that we played them.
I just don't see the Lakers. Like I am not a LeBron fan, but I don't see the Lakers not making the playoffs.
Do you know their lineup? Let's go over this. Okay.
No, it's not great.
Okay, so Lonzo starting.
Gross.
With Rondo as the backup, or might take over depending on what happens with that. The 2 is
Caldwell Pope
or Kuzma, I guess. Like if they wanted to put him at the 2.
Okay. Or Josh Hart.
Or 3. Josh Hart is an actual 2, and he's like, the summer league beast. So I guess he's like the real 2 backup. Then Ingram at the 3 with Kuzma as the backup. And Ingram's like their, this is the next guy. I got to see that.
Ingram's at the 3. Ingram's not at the 4.
Oh, yeah, they might. Well, yeah, I guess.
Wouldn't you put LeBron at the 3 and Ingram at the 4?
I guess you would do that. Can Ingram really, like, body-wise, though?
No, he like length, thin. I guess, but not muscle.
Thin. Length, yeah, but not like he would get back down. That's the thing. I mean,
but I don't think LeBron can take that beating all 82 games of playing the 4.
I'm sure though. Well, you can you do the switch like you do with Carmelo? Like he plays offensively on the 4, but like defensively, then they'll switch back on the 3 or something like that.
I just find that really stressful.
I don't know. And then you got McGee as the center.
Oh god.
And it's like, what kind of record are we talking about? Like that's a worse team than any of the Cavs teams he's had. Correct? Like I know it's the East, but that's worse than the Cavs teams he's had.
This team is worse than the Cavs team that he went to the finals with last year?
Ooh, last year. I would say, yeah, because they don't have a Kevin Love.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't see.
This
but
is
they
as
still
bad
have
as his like Mo Williams teams.
But they still have LeBron James.
I get that. Every one of the teams I'm talking about have LeBron James. But as far as like surrounding, like, supporting cast, I mean, that's as bad as his early Cavs days. I mean, this is like definitely.
Kuzma's sweet coming off the bench. Josh Hart isn't bad.
I mean,
Rondo's
it's just
good off the
really,
bench.
it's just all like, it's like a tryout year, basically. Like, who do I want to stay with me? And then it's like, okay, what players are we taking runs at?
Well, I know they got Michael Beasley, and that screams championship to me. How does Michael Beasley still have a job in the NBA?
I don't know, man, but he finds a way. And he's like entertaining. Like when he was at the Knicks, at least he was like entertaining. So it was like maybe he's just like great in the locker room, so they just like want him to keep him around. Similar to like the Good Brothers. Like nobody wants to see them go away because they're just good for like locker room morale. The thing is that Anthony Davis is going to go to the Lakers. Now that's
what trade or next season?
Next season.
He's a free agent?
Yes.
I did not know that.
That's like the biggest non-secret out there. He just left his agency and signed with Clutch, of course. And so it's just, I mean, start making the jersey. Like it's not really. Everyone sees that happening. So then, okay, then you can just dream like of this AD, LeBron, and then whoever future, and then now it's looking a little bit better to me. But right now, brutal. Like, okay, you can maybe get the 8 seed. What does that give you? Just a slaughtering?
Well, yeah, but I still think they make the playoffs.
I don't know, man. Because you saw last year, it's like even bad teams are like decent there. Well, not like the Suns or anything, but
or the Hawks.
although the Suns will be better, So,
will they?
Yeah, the Suns will be better.
They drafted one.
Well, obviously Ayton, and then like
Yeah.
Booker under another year. I don't know. I think they'll be better. They can't be as bad as last year.
No,
But-
yeah, they were pretty terrible.
But they are going to get trolled in the West as well. So it's like, it's hard. You saw how like close it was. It was like 2 games between like the 3rd seed and like the 7th seed or whatever it was.
Right.
And it's like, that's like a game here and there over the course of like 6 months. So like, a lot of things can happen. So I don't know. It's just, to me, I just think like, one game here and there, they have like, if they have a Cavs-ish stretch from like last, season or whatever, like that's it. That's it for the West. You can't just come back like you can in the East.
Well, yeah, because the East is friggin' trash.
Like you can't have the run that they did and then be like, oh, it's okay. We'll still like get like, the 3rd seed or 4th seed and be fine. That's like, no, now you're out of the playoffs if you have like a run like that.
I just can't. I find these projections are really not even just the Laker piece. Like that really, the Spurs, them only getting 38 wins. Like like Murray's sweet. They got Rosen. They have Aldridge. I think Powell came back. Rudy Gay came back. They got Patty Mills. I like what's his face from Miami that they drafted. Granted, he's a rookie. I think they got Lonnie Walker. I think they got Bellinelli also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't see how the Spurs. I can't. I mean, I know it's all computer projection, but like 38 wins for the Spurs, 38.
I mean, whatever. It's just ESPN put out something. When they put out the NFL, like, you remember when they put out the NFL projections? It was like they didn't even add up to the right.
Oh yeah, the amount of games.
Like wins and losses or whatever.
Everybody had like 6 wins, and they were like, "This is impossible."
So, I mean, you can't really. I don't know. You can't really put any stock in that. The Jimmy Butler thing might trade, and not that it's gonna make a huge dent, especially if he ends up going the Heat, like most people think. I don't know, that deal is kind of hard because most people think that, well, most people, Woj thinks that they're going to need like a 3rd team in there.
Right.
If it is this kind of like, it seems like, Heat is obviously at the forefront with like the Nets and like behind that. So, and you might need a 3rd team in the deal. So what really happens there?
Does anybody in the West prove to be a legitimate threat to the Golden State Warriors?
I mean, I don't think so, but
who has the best chance?
During the season, I would say they're going to play it very similar to last year where people are going to be like, oh, is this the year they all don't like each other and blah, 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 and they're not going to turn it on to the playoffs because they don't have to. And then they're just going to turn it on. I mean, it's going to be the same story as like kind of last year. I don't think they're going to play the regular season very hard at all. And people are going to like everybody else. I mean, I don't love that people are like sleeping on the Rockets entirely. I don't love that they lost Trevor Ariza and Bob Mute.
They're not doing shit.
They need that, but
they're led by the Peyton Manning of the NBA. Man.
I could definitely see them having the best regular season record in the NBA. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, but it's all hollow. Like whether Golden State finishes first,
it is
or
not
7th,
hollow at all. They should have won last year. It's not hollow at all.
Whether Golden State finishes first or 8th, that is their.
You wouldn't, but
everybody
last year,
has to go through Golden State.
Well, it's just because you have this like bias on the Rockets, but that they should have and would have lost last year if Chris Paul could have played those games.
No, I don't know that.
Well, that is what would have happened. Because
that's not true.
Clearly, yes, it is.
No, it's not.
No, that's clearly what was happening. They had them up against the ropes and could have, and I think would have won if Chris Paul was able to play those games.
And Oklahoma City had him up against the ropes in a worse situation the year before, like a couple years before that. And teams have had them and then haven't had them. I recognize that Houston looked good enough against them, but I'm not ready to sit there and be like, yeah, they had them, they were done.
Yeah, but
because
they've been
against the ropes
with
and
Oklahoma
worse.
City, in my eyes, with Oklahoma City, they didn't like just lose like, Durant or Westbrook like in game 5, and that was like, oh, then they barely lost, and then that's the narrative. Like the Thunder like lost because they like mentally like broke down and like lost that series. Whereas this, you can play it differently in the what if things because of the injury. Like it was clear that they were, for that like 2-3 game stretch there, like the better basketball team. And I think over the course of the season, they were the better basketball team.
But regular season doesn't matter.
The regular season does matter because
nobody plays defense in the regular
playoffs.
season. Correct, but it doesn't matter when the West.
So why do we have the regular season then, Anthony?
Yeah, I recognize that it matters, but it doesn't, because everybody in the West still knows. Again, it doesn't matter to me because whether Golden State is 1 or 8, everybody knows, including them, that you have to go through Golden State to get to the NBA Finals.
Well, you didn't have to, because guess what? If they had the 8th seed, then they don't have home court advantage, and that matters more in the NBA than it does in like other sports.
I understand that, but you still have to beat Golden State 4 out of 7, no matter who you are. And I understand they may not have home court and this and that, but I still think they turn it on and just do what they want when they need to.
I'm just saying, I am all for Golden State. I love them. I'm just saying they would have lost last year to the Houston Rockets if Chris Paul had played. Yes, I can. It's an opinion. I could say whatever I want.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but I'm just saying that's
definitely what would have happened. It's not like a crazy like opinion. Most people think that way. Like if you watch all the games, they clearly had their number. And
yes, guys who always fuck up in the playoffs and choke their shit away definitely would have put away the team that's been running the NBA for the last 4 seasons.
Yes, because they were the better team and they were playing like the better team.
I just think when push comes to shove, as much as I don't like Golden State,
you're just giving like generalities like about stuff. It's like when you actually like watch the games, guess what? None of their past history mattered in that game. It's like just because it's like the lottery. It's like every time it's like different. It's just like it's not like
I'm not giving generalities though. Like Golden State had a bunch of shots that didn't go down. Houston hit a bunch of shit. I just think everything would have regressed towards the mean eventually. They would have stepped it up a little bit and taken him out. And I also don't buy James Harden in big games. Like he falls away. And I think that would have worked against Houston more than helped them. When James Harden has the chance to put people away, I'm always going to point to that Game 7 against San Antonio when he had no points. And people were trying to figure out, did he throw the game? Did he quit? Did he have a concussion? Like, was he messed up? Like, what happened? He had no points. Like, he's proven to, time and time again, come up short in the big moments. He's got Peyton Manning inflated numbers. And I think if the pressure was on more, he would have choked more. Like, and Golden State didn't look good those first 5 games. They did decent enough. I just believed that they would have come out in Game 6 and Game 7. And I like Chris Paul a lot. Like, I love Chris Paul.
No, the thing is, it has nothing to do with Harden. It's a Chris Paul thing because it's a mentality thing. Chris Paul was like the bulldog leading that team. It has nothing with like, can Harden overcome and yada yada. I realized he was the MVP and he played well. It's just like, it was like Chris Paul like stirred the drink and you needed him in that situation. Not that you didn't need Harden's points, but you needed him in the Game 6 and 7 to win. On the other side, it's the same thing on the other side of the coin. If Dre had played in the Game 5, then the Warriors win all these championships. Like, because then he doesn't get the tech out, then you get a little momentum back to the Cavs and all that stuff. Like, those things like matter. I don't know. Like, I just think the Warriors should have won that series if Dre had played that game, and the Chris Paul would have made a difference, and the Rockets would have won the NBA championship last year.
I mean, again, it's all opinion. Those games were
Fun to watch.
They were fun to watch, but they were close. They were back and forth. Golden State blew them out like game 3, didn't they? The Rockets barely won in game 4. The Rockets barely won in game 5. Like, I just didn't see, like, I know they were up 3-2, but game 4 and game 5 were super close, and the Rockets barely came out of those 2 games. So that's my thinking. Like, it's not just like from a generality perspective or to use like maxims or anything. Like, it was a close series those first couple of games, and some calls went some different ways. Some shots didn't go down. Houston won by like 3, and then won by like 4 or 5. That's my thing. Like, that's why I just can't guarantee that it was like, oh, they're coming out of that series. Like, everything was so close, and when it's that close and it's that like, oh, which way do you lean? I'm gonna lean with the guys who have the pedigree, and I'm gonna lean with the guys who have got it done before, not the guys who haven't.
I mean, sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. I don't think anybody would have predicted when the Warriors were up 3-0 against the Cavs that was gonna go down like that. So, especially
They were up 3-0. No, it was 3-1, wasn't it?
It was 3-1, yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, for a second I was like, that was 3-0. Holy crap!
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. And the same thing. I mean, it's like the same thing was like the thread in LeBron's early career too. That like he couldn't make big shots. He like wasn't the one that was going to get it done, and that whole narrative, same narrative as like Harden, I guess. And now I think he's totally turned around in that he's actually not he's obviously the guy that's taking the shot and the guy that can make them, and it's totally turned around to like that aspect of like his like narrative and career. He like can easily close games. I don't think he's afraid to take free throws anymore, that kind of stuff. It's just like always like, can his surrounding cast work with him and his kind of black holeness?
True. I still don't think he's like a huge closer though. Like, I think there's a couple people I'd probably put ahead of him.
I think he is now.
A game.
He is now. I would trust. I wouldn't.
Is he the number one closer? Is he the number one closer to end a game? Like, is there anybody else in the league you take over him?
To like as like a last shot kind of thing.
Yep.
Well, I like Kyrie. I like Dame. And I'd like Curry.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to like Durant somewhat too, but I kind of like Curry just because of his.
He can make a shot out of friggin' anything.
I don't know. He just can always make it.
Yeah,
so.
He could just like kick it off his knee and it would go in.
So I mean, I like those guys, but I've come a long way because I was completely on the other side of like, because what LeBron used to do early in like his Cavs run and stuff like that, I don't know, people might remember, might not, whatever, is he basically settled for a 3 because he didn't want to drive and get a free throw.
Yes.
Because that was like a more nerving situation.
Correct.
Than if he just missed the 3, it was like, oh, I missed the 3.
Yeah,
it's
rather
like,
than having to go to the line.
Why are you taking the 3? You're like a giant 6'8" built out of steel person.
Run.
And you should just drive, take the foul, and get your free throws and win the game. And he wouldn't do that, and he would step back and try to hit a 3, and he wasn't great at shooting 3s back then. And he's gotten a little bit better. I don't want to say he's amazing, but he's definitely gotten better. And now he is willing to do that. He's willing to be like the final shot and stuff like that. And not just like the Raptors, because he knows they have their number, and it's not even like that team doesn't even like matter, I think, like in that like, you know, whatever, the one-footed shot and stuff like that. It's just like he knew he had them, so it's like that one doesn't count. But even in the other situations, like he's fully confident in taking like an 18-foot jumper for the win, and I'm kind of confident in him taking that as well now. I've kind of come 180 on it.
Yeah, he's gotten better at it for sure. I would definitely give him that. There might be some people I'd take over him.
I mean, it's going to be fun. The season's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, despite everyone thinking, the Warriors are just going to run away with anything. There's a lot of like...
Yeah, we might have another Germany situation on our hands in the World Cup where it's like that straightforward, so maybe it's not that.
Right. Well, it's true. I still think it is that, like, I still think the narrative becomes like they only win 55 games or 53 games or something like that, similar to like last year. People are talking about other teams, like people were really talking about Portland going to the playoffs. Obviously, everyone was talking about the Rockets since they started so hot and kept it going, and then amount of threes and all that stuff. And I still think that'll happen. That could easily be like, oh, the people are talking about the Jazz, and like they actually end up getting the 2 seed over the Warriors or something. And I don't know, like I could see like a lot of those things coming like, oh, is this the end of them? They don't like each other. Nobody likes Boogie, blah blah blah. They're
Nobody
all
wants
this
to boogie with DeMarcus.
right. And it's like all these storylines I could see happening, and definitely some of them will happen. But it's like come playoff time, you kind of know what the deal is. But it's going to be fun getting there and definitely seeing what happens in the East without LeBron there is like, you're not getting the finals that we've seen every year for the last
Correct.
how many years,
Yeah.
and that makes it fun for me. Like knowing that, like, okay, it's definitely going to be different this year. Like whether the Warriors are there, most people think the Warriors are there, but at least they'll have, it's like, okay, well, try to go up against this Sixers team. They're pretty good. So
Call it right now. Who's going to call the finals and who's winning?
oh,
it?
Warriors, bro, Warriors, come on.
Who's coming out of the East?
And I want to say the Sixers.
Yes, you believe they were going to come back last year when they were down right to the Celtics.
But I'm just gonna go the. It's not necessarily the talent for me; it's more the coaching, and
Okay.
I just gotta think like Brad Stevens is gonna out coach everybody in the East. So I think he will out coach everybody in the East, and I just like it's more like the Colangelo stuff, and then like the trickle down and like the organizational shift. I don't know Elton Brand how he's gonna like do with that necessarily. Not that the GM obviously has a lot of influence, but it's not like a head coach influence necessarily.
Right.
They have the same head coach, but I just think maybe some of that kind of trickles down a little bit, and I want to know where that's going to go. I think towards the end of the season, if everyone has their horses, and I just think Brad Stevens is the best coach maybe in the NBA right now. I mean, maybe to Pop, but and Kerr, but just like he's amazing. And how can I really go against that? They had the talent and the coaching. It's really hard to kind of go against that.
I'm saying the Celtics win the title.
I mean, that's fine because I could just see them out.
I think they match up
and outplaying.
I think they match up decently well with Golden State. I think their defense, combined with the length that they have on the perimeter, the way they move the ball, the only thing that really
personally, I just think no one on that team. I don't think anybody can guard Durant, and Kyrie versus
that's my worry
versus Curry.
That's my worry.
A check for Curry.
Correct.
Even though his obviously Curry's defense isn't like amazing, he gets like steals here and there, so people think he's a little bit better. And he can, like when he wants to like kind of lock down, he's decent like steals and just being in front of somebody.
He's annoying. Like, he's annoying enough to kind of get in your way and do. He
can get
stuff.
in lanes and do some
Kyrie
stuff like that.
is just a
Kyrie is a negative on the defensive end.
100%.
So, and that's my thing is like, if you can't guard Curry, he's going to cause so much trouble just driving and just taking shots. Like if he's on, he's going to win the game. If he's not on, he's driving. Then you have a problem because you have to. Because you have to switch D and then rotate, and you just need to hope that their speed and their length can combat Clay and Durant, who he's kicking to, which is pretty good twosome to kick to. So,
correct. I if Golden State wins, I will obviously not be shocked. I think between Brown and Hayward and Tatum, they can do some things to not limit Durant or shut him down, but provide some kind of difficulty for him, like on his own. But before you even said it, I was thinking the same thing. The thing that worries me the most is Curry just eating Kyrie and like just cooking him on the perimeter and hitting a three, or driving, kicking it out, like pick and roll. I just think he's a liability at best out there defensively. And that's the only thing that really holds me back from being like, oh,
sure. But I could definitely see like Stevens like kind of trying to hide him on defense and switches and stuff like that. But also at the same time, the Warriors are very, very advanced on offense with their switching, and I could just see that they'll switch into the Curry versus Kyrie situation if they need to.
They'll just keep switching and switching and
They'll
switching
just
until
keep,
they finally get
yeah,
it.
they'll obviously just keep switching. And if they don't get the switch they want, then giving it to Kevin Durant in a situation where he's gonna be on Tatum or Jalen, and it's like only their second season, they're in the NBA Finals. I don't know. I can see him, and he's coming, and he's back to back the NBA Finals MVP. I can kind of see that as like a mismatch. Seeing how I don't know how much they're gonna grow up this year, but it's like I can see the nerves being a little bit there, and everyone's a little bit undersized of the position for Durant because he's so weirdly tall.
Yeah, he's
so it's like
freakishly lanky.
It's just gonna be hard because you saw even when they struggled, what they did was they gave it to when they really were struggling. They gave it to Durant on the block. He did like 2 dribbles, fade away, like 12-footer, and that was like kind of like a reset bread and butter for them before they would get into their actual offense when like if Clay and Steph were like hitting shots. Like
that's what I remember about those Rocket games when. I mean, ironically, they lost them, but when they went down 3-2, like Game 4 and Game 5, when they lost those close ones, it was just because, like, they created things in the offense, but they just weren't, like, those shots just weren't going down. I remember Durant, like, being, like, 1 of 6 or 1 of 5 from 3 in Game, like, 4 or 5, and I think, like, Clay didn't shoot well.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of the Warriors not shooting particular well, but also like the Rockets could defend really well with Ariza and like Bamute, and they were just like long with Capella.
If you can get one of those games, or like just get them out of rhythm for a little bit. Again, I don't think you can like shut down Durant completely, but if you can somehow make him inefficient, I think that's possible from a Celtics defensive point of view. I think that's more likely than them figuring out how to solve Steph because of Kyrie. But if anybody can figure it out, it's Brad Stevens. I don't know if their offense would be advanced enough to keep up with Golden State if they have to. But I think they've got the best shot of anybody. I don't know. I just feel like they might be able to pull it. In reality, I'm thinking Golden State, but I think I'd give the Celtics like a 35-40% chance of winning.
All right, well, you got the Celtics and I got the Warriors, so I guess we'll see what happens. It's gonna be, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait for the season to start. I mean, I'm sure we'll be talking more when the season gets here next month. But yeah, can't wait. Media Day got me thinking about it, and it's like there's a lot to think about. It's gonna be an interesting season, so can't wait.
We're gonna have to do another one of these when LeBron gets traded to the Warriors at the deadline.
Have to. All right, thanks for listening to the episode. If you liked this episode or any of the episodes, if you give us a review on iTunes, the link is in the show notes. Also, follow us on Instagram at AA Talk Stuff. Also on Twitter. Anthony's going hard on the Twitter. And on Facebook, obviously. And if you ever have any ideas, questions for us, anything like that, just hit that email button on Instagram or email us at aatalkstuff@gmail.com with any episode ideas or any thoughts. And we'll see you next week.